We are doing it again. Fantastic.
Lisa. How much sugar have you had?
A
lot.
Not enough.
Oh, that's good.
But I did just have a pie. I had a pie, and Donna told me it was okay to have a pie.
Okay,
And-
it's like legendary. I wish I had a pie. I live in a place where most of you live in a place where you can just go out and get a pie, like a savory pie. I live in a place where they don't know what that is. They're like, what is that?
A pie?
This is Australia. You go and get a pie.
Yeah,
Easy.
like you can get a pie in Australia, New Zealand, UK. You can get empanadas in all of Latin America. In like India time zone, you can go get a samosa. These are all like pie family, right?
Here we are
Like,
at the TGI
with-
Global Hack in London, where we have over, I think, around 11 teams hacking away. And I tell you what, it's taken us a long time to get to where we are. About 3 months prep. Yeah,
About 3 months prep. Yeah.
and finally, you know, the enthusiasm, the excitement, the decorations, the chocolate, the sweets, you know, even the beer actually, and a cheers to that, Lee, has been absolutely phenomenal. So what is it that we're really getting from this time around?
So for me, it's the deployable solutions. We've seen this from the last hack. We've seen solutions actually out in the wild, being used by the world, that are making a difference, and we need to make sure we get the same from this.
Absolutely. You know, and I think we're just going to wait and see. We've already had Region 1 kick off with their hackathon. We have got some great stuff flooding in. And yeah, let's see what Region 2 can come up with as well. So yeah, good luck, guys, and cheers.
Cheers.
Hi, I'm Joe Unwin, also known as FlowJo Online. I am the leader of the Dream Team here at the TDGI Global Hack. We are actually creating today an application that's looking at the kind of essence of our students. We're looking at their emotional state in the school. So what we're going to do is create an application with an image that's going to show some kind of character portraying a emotion, and then we're going to be able to allow them to select a visual representation that will say and also spell out to them exactly what the person's actually doing. They'll click on it and they'll get a true or false response to that. They'll process through it, and then once that's finished, they'll go on to a Power BI, they'll go on to CDS, and then there'll be a Power BI report that will be actually put up to the teachers, and they can see if any of the students are actually struggling with their emotional states.
Hi, my name is Sam Saini. I work for Heathrow Airport, and this is my first time I'm participating at a hackathon, a global hackathon, and it's been awesome. Honestly, it's been totally amazing being part of the Dream Team. You know, we've got FlowJo here, who's our team leader, who's guiding us in the right direction. You know, and it's been honestly amazing. I'm learning so much from other people and their skill sets, and it's great to have everyone in one place and bring all their skills and all that knowledge into one place and working together for one goal is how we can give an application to a school or an education sector. And it's great when you have great minds think alike, and I'm enjoying it.
So just can I confirm, can everyone just see the I've got the wrong time zone here, I'm a bad human, I'm going to skip slides real quick.
You're a wonderful human, but it is the wrong time zone.
No. I am a terrible human. No, so we're going to skip. Sorry, guys. In fact, you know what? No. So can you guys see the singular slide with me on it? This feels so weird.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So everyone from the IST time zone, a huge Hack for Good welcome to the opening Hack for Good kickoff and presentation. We are incredibly super excited because the last time we did a Hack for Good, it was kind of like we tried to do it in Apac, but then we ended up moving most of the Hack for Good to Australia and New Zealand. This time it's swung the other way around. We've moved over to India. This is really cool. So thank you very much for your huge response to this awesome event. We appreciated it greatly. We've got some really awesome people on the call, and I always say that awesomeness needs to be released slowly, right? So it's kind of like you can't release too much awesome in one place, otherwise things implode or explode. So we're going to go slowly, and I'll introduce you to everyone as we go, right? But normally I have a friend of mine doing this piece of the presentation with me, my good friend William Dorrington, but he's ditched me because apparently sleeping is a fine thing to do before a hackathon, which I think is absolute nonsense. So if I move on after I've insulted my friend, we're going to talk a little bit about Hack for the Planet, right? And real quick, hack the planet or hack for the planet is an important thing to talk about here because, there are lots of issues going on. And one of the biggest things that we're looking at right now is this crisis with COVID-19. And it's scary. It's happening. When this whole thing started, we kind of thought, COVID, that's fine. It's not really going to affect us. But the thing that's really important to understand is that it affects all of us. Every single person right now, COVID-19, this crisis has affected you. Now, here's the thing. As a community of people, what's happened slowly but surely is that we've been brought together through this crisis. And one thing that I've started to discover, and when I've been interacting with people, both virtually and, my direct family, it's been interesting to see how much people are actually caring about what other people are doing. And, from the shopkeeper down the road that potentially sells you, your basic food items, to the shopping center, to the cab driver that used to drive you around, to somebody that, you spoke to in the marketplace. It's really key. And I think what's happened now is we're showing a lot more concern and care for the people around us based on the fact that this horrible thing has happened, right? It is terrible. We have lost people, but as a community of people that work within the Microsoft platforms and work around, various others that work with Microsoft, I think we can help. And we're in an incredible position to help. All of you on this call are here for a reason. You've made the decision to take some time out of the weekend to build a solution, or even just learn to build something to help aid organizations and potential businesses in solving a problem. Now, Donna's going to talk to you a little bit later around the types of things you should be looking at solving here and problems you could be looking at solving. But the one thing I want you to remember, the ocean, you can't boil the ocean, right? The whole idea is solve the small problem. The small problem will then help solve the larger problem. And that's really key. So don't think for a minute that making an app for your grocer up the road is not important, because that is massively important. And it is of absolute importance that you rope those types of people into the community and show them that type of care, whether it's through technology or whether it's through you engaging them in whatever fashion. We're here in this together, and we need to work together to try and solve this. So I want to give you some interesting stats. Last year when we ran this, it wasn't around, I can't even remember when it was, at Business Applications Summit. We had 50 attendees, we had 7 speakers, we were all together in the same room, and that's cool, right? I mean, that's really awesome. We had lots of subject matter to talk about. I want to show you this next slide, just purely so that you can understand the reach and the amount of people that are interested in this. Look at this. Over 390 registrations across the globe. We have over 40 countries registered. Folks, that is insane. That is absolutely insane. The amount of people that have registered for this event across the world. We've had, I'm South African. I can guarantee you, just on this call alone, we have multiple different nationalities, which is amazing to bring these types of people together in a combined mindset. We've got 4 time zones. Again, I just want to say a massive thank you to you all. You're the guys, you're the folks that have made this time zone happen. And from now on, when we do events, this is a time zone that we will be catering for, because we know that there is absolute interest in what we're doing from a Power Platform perspective. So I do have, we are going to talk to one of our friends from Microsoft. I'll let him introduce himself, right? His name is Kapil, but he's the guy that kicked this off, and Nijo as well. So they'll chat to you a little later. But I just want you to remember that even though we can't be with you in person, the reach that we have with this event and the amazing opportunity we have to work together to do something here is fantastic, right? It's absolutely fantastic. We show slides like this, and the reason we do is because, this is what it looks like when you're at an event together. But I'll tell you what, folks, I'm just as excited, and I'm just as enthusiastic, and I'm even more amped about the fact that we're doing this together right now. So don't for one moment think that we have to be in the same room, because what we've proven is we don't. And what we've proven is we can do even cooler stuff when we're connecting virtually. So don't see this as a bad thing. Let's take this as an opportunity and a positive to go and do something really cool and use real world examples from around you to create solutions for people that really matter. Okay. So that's my little waffle. I'm going to give you over to the people that really matter in this presentation. So this is where I say you've got to release awesome kind of slowly, right? So we've got Donna. Now Donna is an absolute enigma. Somebody that's incredibly well known within the community, and we all look up to her a hell of a lot. And Donna's going to talk to you a little bit about sort of where the Power Platform fits in with this whole COVID-19 process and why it's important for us to use technology to aid these different people within our communities. Unfortunately, Keith has got family commitments, but we have virtual Keith, right? So we have, double virtual Keith. So we have a recording, but I promise you now, this guy can put energy into recording and it'll come and you'll get the energy, right? So don't worry about Keith not being around. We've got Kapil, and I just want to say thank you, buddy. You're the one that actually pushed this over the edge for us. Finally, we've got our time zone leads. So I just want, Lisa, Lainey have put a lot of effort into working in the Apac time zone, and Nijo, who is part of the group that we work with called Power Community. It used to be called TDG. He's actually been with us from the inception, basically. And he kindly climbed on board. He's got stuck in, not even put two thoughts into it, given up his Saturday. So a big thank you to the time zone leads. You are the people that put the hard work in. We know how much work you do in the background. So just please know, folks, that the people you need to be contacting throughout this whole process are the people you're seeing on these slides. You have the Teams chat that you're in right now. So when we end the call, you'll still be able to communicate through the chat, okay? But don't worry, we'll get into the logistics a little later. And then finally, I promised Mark I would announce him like this. So Mark Smith, man of mystery. So Mark's also been part of the Hack for Good family for a very long time. He's been both a team lead, a participant, and a judge. So he's kind of he's kind of the guy that just we rope in all the time. So Mark, thank you very much. Your experience and enthusiasm is always appreciated, and you always do stuff for us at the last minute as well. So we really appreciate it. And then one of the most spectacular humans I could ever speak about is Eliza Benitez. So if you ever watch a show on YouTube called WTF, What the Flow, you'll find Eliza. She's the Power Automate AI Builder Queen. And she's also kindly offered to judge. She's also got a lot of things on the go at the moment. So we really appreciate you coming along and helping us out. You've also been really active in the community and helped us out with TDG for a very long time. So massive thanks to you. Without going on too much more, we're just going to take a look at the agenda. So what's going to happen today is my time zone's already screwed right now. So I'm just like reading off a slide because I literally have no idea what time it is, even in the UK. So from 9 to 9:15, we're going to go through the introduction. That's what I'm waffling on about now, right? From there, we're going to hand over to Donna to talk about how Power Platform can be leveraged within this time of crisis. This is important for you because it'll tell you the type of solutions you need to build. So Donna's discussion is really key. Then we're going to move over to Keith. So Keith will be talking about the art of digital inclusion. There are some naughty words in there, so if you have children, block their ears. Then we'll be handing over to Kapil to talk about, give a bit of a Microsoft introduction and just talk about why this is so important for the IST time zone. And it is very important because we're very honored to be here, to be very honest. And I think that, again, from TDG, we've never had the opportunity to do something in India, so we're very glad to be doing it. Then Lisa, Lainey, and Nija will be taking you through the rules of engagement. Again, this is really important because if you don't know how to hack, you're going to have a problem today. So it's very important that you remember the rules of engagement. There's lots of material out there. There's loads of places you can go to get information. So if you feel stuck, don't worry. You're not in this on your own. We are here to help you the entire time. Okay. And then you have a flexible hours hackathon. Lisa's going to talk a little bit about more about what that means. But just remember, you and your team decide how you want to hack. So if you want to hack for 4 hours and you want to come up with something in 4 hours, that's totally cool with us. Don't feel pressured. If you want to hack for 24 hours, I will give you my absolute applause because that is awesome, right? But remember, the goal here is to come up with something cool. Okay, so that's me done. I just want to say that, together, this is a big thing for us, right? We can create a solution to this and help people massively through this framework and through this platform, whether it's the technical framework or whether it's Hack for Good or whether it's just us as a community. So I would really encourage you to reach out, just build, just even if you don't know the platform, who cares? Try it, right? Just give it a try. So with that, I would love to hand over to Donna. Donna is going to take you through some really interesting pieces of information around the types of solutions that we're looking for and some best practices around potentially building these. So Donna, when I figure out how to stop sharing my screen.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Can you see that?
Can you see that?
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. Great stuff.
Okay. All right.
All right.
First, we have to thank a very important person in the middle of this hackathon, and that is Mr. Chris Huntingford himself, because he has been so diligent and so dogged about making this hackathon happen. For about the last 6 months, he's been saying, Hack for Good, we got to do Hack for Good before Mbas, and he roped together a crew 6 months ago. And then once the COVID-19 happened, he didn't let go of it. He said, not only are we going to make Hack for Good happen, it's going to be bigger than it ever has been in its life, or bigger than we ever imagined. And we, of course, thought what we always think when Chris says something, which is, dude, you're crazy, okay? You are absolutely insane. There's something wrong with you. But he was right. You saw the numbers. It started off with this idea that, oh, we'd have 40 people participating. We're at 10 times that. Just think about that for a second. This is the most inclusive this hack could possibly have been. Before, it was going to be people who could come to Mbas. So people who had the ability to get permission from their jobs to fly to the US, to Dallas of all the places, to participate in a hackathon on an extra day before Mbas. That's a very small number of people in the world. Now, anyone in the world can join in on this hack who is interested in joining in on this hack. And I find that to be so interesting and so compelling. And I think this will change the way we do hackathons going forward forever. That doesn't mean we're always going to do virtual hacks, but there's something so powerful about being able to include people from all over the world, rather than just the privileged who can afford to be in a room a few days early before Mbas. So I ask all of you from all around the world a question I ask a lot of people, which is, how many of you want to make the world a better place? Just chime in with yes or no in the chat. Now, I'm not even looking at the chat, but I can guarantee that a lot of people are saying yes, because otherwise, why the heck have you woken up so early on a Saturday to chime in on a hack for good when you can easily be watching Netflix or doing all sorts of other things? You wouldn't. Most likely you're here because you truly believe that you can make a difference in the world. Now, the better question becomes, how many of you really want to make a difference in the world, but have zero clue where to start? Again, chime in the chat. This is very, very normal. And the reason for that is we are not, in fact, in the saving the world, making the world a better place business as our day job, as we see it. We are in the business of doing our business. We go to work, we go to school, we do what our bosses say, we make apps, we, work at banks, we drive trains, we do all kinds of things. But most of us are not a superhero by profession. So what is a fledgling superhero like all of us supposed to do? How do we learn to fly? How do we develop our wings? And how do we actually make a legit impact in the world? Of course, we've got option A, which is set a ginormous goal, right? And this is where everyone goes wrong. They decide they're going to set a huge goal, like, I'm going to figure out how to help every government in the world identify all of their COVID patients and figure out how we can track that. That is a huge goal. Do you know the government head of every country in the world? Do you even know the government head of your own country? Do you know what they're working on right now? Do you know what challenges they have? Unless you work in that environment, you probably don't know. We call this, as Chris mentioned, boiling the ocean. Boiling the ocean is, first of all, not that good of an activity, but also it's pretty much impossible to do, and it will only lead to endless frustration. So instead of taking on a huge, ginormous challenge, no matter how Supermanish it might sound, we recommend you do something a lot more local. So instead of escalating into some wild, insane goal, you bring it all the way down, and let's go back to the origin stories of successful hackathons, okay? So I've been in over hundreds of hackathons in my career. I've been in tech for 18 years, so I'm pretty sure I was at like the first hackathon when hackathons were invented. And these are hackathons that happened in person, that happened virtually, hackathons in school, hackathons in industry. And I have seen the most successful hackathon teams, the ones that always win, it all comes down to one winning strategy. And it's always this one specific thing, which is choose one person to help with one solution. That's it. It's not choose a ginormous group of people and try to solve a problem for them. It's not choose one person and try to solve a lot of problems for that person. It's choose one person to help with one solution. So the reason for this is clear, because you have a very limited amount of time and you have a very limited amount of capacity to figure out who the human is, what problem they have, and how you can solve it. So let's deep dive into a case study that will be very real to all of you. Let's imagine Superman. Okay, everyone knows Superman, Man of Steel. He has lots of powers, mainly, like the ability to fly and like shoot lasers and beat up bad guys. Cool. On day one, when he got his cape on, did he swoop into Metropolis and save the whole city from the bad guys? No, of course not. Then the movie would be over in about 15 minutes and we'd all go home, right? That would not be a very good movie. Instead, what he did on day one was like he saved some kid from a cow or something, right? That would be day one. He's like, okay, I just learned I can fly. What do I do? Oh my God, that kid's going to get run over by a cow. I'm going to go rescue that kid. I don't actually know if this happened. I just found this picture and I assumed he's rescuing a kid from a cow. I don't know why. It's an assumption. Now, the point is that Superman did not go out of his way to say, I'm going to save 1 billion people. He said, I'm going to save one person from one problem. He did this ancient software engineering strategy called build for one, scale to many. Okay? So how does that look like for you when you're not saving kids from cows, but you're solving a software engineering problem? So I will introduce you to these 4 friends of mine who are Microsoft trainees in Australia. So trainees are people who join Microsoft without any sort of a tech background. So these are folks who did not study computer science, do not know how to code, or any of the things that you would assume a person joining Microsoft can do. One of these trainees used to be in the entertainment industry. She was a musician. Another one used to be a chef. Another one used to just graduated high school and joined Microsoft. So they joined, they're ramping up on the technology. And one day, this is all in Australia. One day, Microsoft Australia gets a call from the government of New South Wales, which is a state in Australia where Sydney's based. Government of New South Wales says, hey, we've got a huge problem and we need your help. And Microsoft Australia says, cool, what's the problem? New South Wales government says, we have a problem with street sleeping, meaning there are people who can't afford to sleep, who don't have a place to stay at night, so they wind up sleeping on the streets. We, of course, want to help these people, and we need your help because we don't know what to do. So Microsoft Australia unleashes our 4 new employees on them and says, solve it. So these 4 employees go deep dive and identify the core problem. So here is how the workflow works. There's a homeless shelter. That homeless shelter takes in people who are sleeping on the streets, and here's how they used to do it. Their volunteers would go out with a clipboard and a giant stack of papers, and they would go and interview people who are sleeping on the street. They would say, hello, your name, how long have you been sleeping on the street? Do you have any health conditions? Do you have any mental health issues? Do you have any other concerns? And then it's like this long document with 25 questions. Now, once they wrote down all this information, they would move on, interview the next person, move on, interview the next person. Then they would go back to the office and type all of this up into, guess what? An Excel spreadsheet. Yep. And after they did all this, there's some other human in the homeless shelter who would look at all of the entries and then assign a vulnerability score to each of the entries. So vulnerability score was based on how vulnerable that person was to sleeping on the street. So someone who was much older, someone who'd been on the street longer, they would get a higher vulnerability score. Now, these 4 trainees said, well, that's dumb. I bet we can come up with a better solution. So they got acquainted with the Power Platform, and they built this solution as you're seeing on the board. So what they built was a Power App. So it's an app that runs on Android and iOS phones that is a very simple form that attaches to a common data service backend. You'll learn a lot more about what these mean in a few minutes if you don't know. So they worked with the homeless shelter with a specific volunteer to build this app. They didn't go off, build an app on their own, and then go present it to the homeless shelter saying, here you go, good luck. They sat down with the homeless shelter and built the app so that these volunteers can use it while they're doing their job. So here's how it worked after. The volunteer would go find the vulnerable person, interview them, ask the exact same questions, and fill in this form on their phone. So they would fill out the form on their phone, hit submit, and it would save to the database. Now, automatically, a vulnerability score would get assigned. They would use the exact same algorithm the person back at the shelter was using, just done in this app. So right away, they could find out, oh, this person's highly vulnerable. We should take them to the shelter now. It wound up that this app saved this homeless shelter around 20 hours a week. That's a lot more homeless people that they can help. So now they've built for one, and then they've solved this problem. You might be thinking, okay, so what? They've solved this problem for one homeless shelter. To everyone's surprise, but not really, all of the other governments in Australia reached out and said, hey, can we get your app? Because if it works for you, I bet it's going to work for us. So suddenly their app starts getting deployed across all the other homeless shelters. Then some homeless shelter in LA and Los Angeles in the US hears about this and says, yo, can we get your app? Because if it works in all over Australia, it's probably going to work here. So these 4 young trainees who'd never built tech in their lives worked with one, and they built this app. And now they're making a significant difference in the world. They started with one problem and one solution. That's it. So you're going to do the exact same thing today. You're not going to set out to solve some huge world-changing thing. You're going to set out to solve one problem for one human. And you're going to do this with a 5-step process that includes homework, because it's me. So of course you're getting homework. And here is the process you're going to follow. Okay? So this is the part where take notes, because you're going to need these steps. Step 1, you're going to brainstorm. This is where you're going to list 5 local problems that real people you know are struggling with. You're not going to list 5 made-up problems. You're not going to list 5 problems you think people are having. You're going to name 5 real problems that you know people are having. This can be something super straightforward, or it can be something incredibly complex. So Foyen, before pandemic, did this for her bank. She realized that all of the bank tellers she'd spoken to were struggling with one huge issue, which is it was a big hassle to track how much money they moved from the vaults to the ATMs at the bank she worked at. There's 176 branches. Every branch had about 10 tellers who work there. And each teller had the exact same problem, which is, oh my gosh, tracking when we move money from the vault to the ATM is a huge pain. Right now what we do is we move it, then we go write it down, and guess where? An Excel spreadsheet. At the end of the week, we have to add up these numbers and mail it to a guy in the central office. And then that guy has to collate all of the spreadsheets into a big spreadsheet and then send it to the head of finance. What a ridiculous process. This is no good for anyone. So Foyen says, this is dumb. We're going to solve this problem. So she built a power app to do this. So after, the world looked like this. Bank teller says, I need to move money from vault to ATM. They go to their power app. They write down the branch number, they write down their name, they write down the date, the time, how much money they moved in the app, hit submit, save in a SharePoint list. Next person does the same. All of the branches get collated in the central SharePoint list. At the end of the week, that guy who was responsible for generating the report hits generate, and you're done. Now, this saved her bank about 60 hours a week. Now, think about that. How much work more work are these people all getting done now? They can be so much more productive. So once Foyen solved this one problem, and she did it by brainstorming 10 problems, then 5 problems, then 3 problems, and 1 problem, she was asked to go build 10 other apps. So just like that guy in The Martian said, you solve one problem, then you solve the next problem. She did exactly that. Next, you narrow down that list of 5 problems you have to 3 problems. And we're doing this gradually because people have a very hard time letting go of their ideas. So narrow down to 3 problems, and those problems should be things that you think you know the answer to. So don't solve something like, I think we should go live on the moon until COVID is over. Really? How are you going to do that? Do you have a spaceship? Do you have ties to a spaceship? If you don't have ties to a spaceship, this is not a problem you're going to solve between now and tomorrow. So abandon this problem. Now, we ran into this at Microsoft. This portal was built by the Power Platform team. All of these government agencies are reaching out and saying, hey, can you help us with all of these issues? And we're saying we're not sure how to solve that because we are not actually a healthcare institution. But there is one problem that we think we can really solve, which is helping you track your resources. So we've built this portal where any government institution can track their available resources in one portal. So that's things like bed capacity, how many staff they have working, how much protective equipment like masks and aprons and gloves. And they can track all of this in one portal that stays sunk and up to date. Now, they've written this into a blog post and they've made it so any healthcare institution can go in and repurpose this portal for their own needs for free for 6 months. They solved exactly one issue. They didn't go off and try to solve 6 other problems with this portal. They just had the portal do one thing. Step 3, you want to choose one problem. I know I've said this like 6 times, and the reason I keep saying this is because people keep trying to solve more than one problem. So our good friend Chris ran into exactly this problem, where he hosted a hackathon with DigiGirls, which are women in high school who want to learn about technology. Now, teenagers have lots of problems, right? They have thousands of problems, and they're very ambitious and want to solve them all. So he scoped them all the way back and said, okay, there's so many problems we can solve. College acceptance, how to convince your parents you're ready to drive, teenager problems. But the biggest problem they realize they can solve for teens is loneliness. Teens all over the world are saying they are lonelier than they ever have been. So they said, I bet we can build an app for that. So they sat down during the course of a day and built this loneliness killer app. And what it does is it helps teenagers connect with others so they don't feel quite so lonely. They chose one problem and they solved it. Okay, so step 4, and this the solution is done by my friend Mritunjay, and I bet he's in the audience right now because he said that he really wants to see himself as a case study. So here you go, Mritunjay. Step 4 is identifying your customer. I think he did a fantastic job of this. You need to know specifically who you are helping. Now, Chris and I are going to jump into your calls, into your various team meetings, and I'm going to ask you this question. Who are you helping? Like, I want a name. I don't want to hear doctors, lawyers, engineers, people who go to the moon. No, I want a name. Because if you don't know a name of someone, you don't actually know your customer. So you need to know their name, you need to know their specific problem, and you have to know them personally enough that you actually understand what is a problem in their lives. So Mritunjay built this app for his dad. He knows his dad very well. He knows where his dad lives, and he knows very specifically what problem his dad is facing. So in this times of COVID, we need to all be a little more financially careful. So he built this finance tracker for his dad to track his expenses. I thought this is such a cool, clever usage of Power Platform because it's something super practical, it's something super useful, and it's something that his dad can use throughout this COVID crisis and after. And it's something that many other people in the world can use. So he built for one, but it scales to many. 5th step, co-create. It's not enough to just know the person's name. You have to know how to contact them and you have to get their feedback. So here's an example that I just learned about last week and I loved it. So there's a Microsoft partner in the UK called Tiski. They are working with the UK police force. So every single police department in the UK have come together and joined this hackathon they had. And hackathon similar to this, but they were actually in a room where they identified core problems that these police departments have and helped them create solutions. So the Lancashire Constabulary here, they're the ones who worked with Tiski to solve this problem. They're making a digital evidence collecting power app. Notice they're not going out and trying to make up a problem or assume they know what police need. They're working with police to solve this. So police officers go out into some sort of a crime scene, and then they need to collect evidence. Now, the way they used to do it was they would go physically take pictures with their phone, they would save that, and then they would label them later and say, what was this a picture of? That is a silly process because you might forget, you may accidentally delete the picture. There's so many things that can go wrong. So instead, what this app does is they go take a picture and label it right away, and then label it per the crime scene that they're in. Now, because they're co-creating these police are using it in real time, and they're giving feedback in real time. And these police are even able to make changes to the app themselves that they need. How powerful is that? Now, bonus, if you find out after going through these 5 steps that your idea will not help this person, go back to step 3 and choose another idea. It's fine if it doesn't work. It doesn't matter. It happens all the time. In fact, if you go back to step 3, you already understand the process, and you'll be able to tell right away which of your ideas will work and which of your ideas won't work. And the more you do this, the more you'll be able to tell. So really take the time to identify the specific problem you're going to solve, the specific human you're going to help, and the specific solution you're going to implement. Only and if only you do this, then you can graduate to the next step. But until you do this, do not graduate, do not pass go, because you are not going to be successful at this hackathon. So once you do it, then it's time to embrace the less code, more power life. What is this, you say? Now, I assume many of you who have joined this hackathon know a little bit about the Power Platform. But for those of you who are new, I'd like to walk you through a little bit of it, but I bet your teammates are probably going to fill you in. And a lot of this you can find online. So Microsoft's Power Platform is set up so you can build apps, you can build websites, you can build visualization dashboards, you can build chatbots, you can build automation, you can build AI without having to go get a computer science degree or learning to code. Now, you could be a coder like me and still want to use the Power Platform because you don't really feel like spinning up the JDK and building a Android app right now. So there are so many parts of the Power Platform, and we're going to go through a few of them right now. Power Platform is built on top of Azure. So it's a way to simplify all of those cool services in Azure that maybe software developers don't really know how to use. So for example, Power Virtual Agents, the chatbots, are built on Azure Cognitive Services. All of the Power BI stuff, all the visualization is built on top of SQL Azure. So if you are an Azure dev, you'll see a lot of the Azure functionality made super, super simple, but you can always extend them more using Visual Studio. So what is the Power Platform anyway? Let's go through them. Power Apps. This might be the thing that you've heard about the most. This is a low-code way to build apps. This is a way that you can build a web app, so something that runs in your browser, an iOS app for your iPhone, or an Android app. And for bonus, and most people don't know this, but I want everyone to try, you can pin your app into your teams. So when I come visit you and you built an app, I would love to see it pinned to your teams, okay? It's a really good way to collaborate and all of you look at the same thing at the same time. Now, these apps are really, really cool because you can use them to solve very, very complex problems or simple problems, but it's a very easy way to prototype a solution very, very quickly. Now, I will show you a tutorial that's super straightforward. It starts with an Excel spreadsheet. It automatically generates an app. That automatic generation, that magic happens here, is because of AI Builder. AI Builder runs in the background of Power Apps, and anytime you see something happen automatically, you're like, that's kind of cool, because of AI Builder. So you are injecting AI into your app without actually doing any work, which is amazing. Another area that a lot of people may not know about are Power Apps portals. These are websites that you can build that are code-free. So they're just drag and drop websites that you can use, and they can be internal facing or they can be external facing. Recently, I built an external facing Power Apps portal for my own side hustle company, which is a fashion company, where I show customer feedback and I have a chatbot embedded so people can give me customer feedback. So I like this story because Rita from Nigeria, she's a student at University of Benin, and she has been an Android dev for about 2 years. But she just created a Power App last week directly from the Excel data source. And she thought that was the coolest thing she's ever seen because she can now build an Android app without going through all of the work and all of the hassle. And it's a really quick way to solve her problem specifically. So it's not about the tech, it's about solving the problem. So if you're just starting out with Power Apps, do the tutorial and then take it from there. It's a very basic tutorial. It will just show you how Power Apps are made. And what I highly recommend, if you've never done this before, is do the demo, do the tutorial, and then start modifying it with your own data and with your own ideas. If you need help, ping us. We can help you out with this. But you can find so many tutorials online in this, but this is a good one to start with. Next, Power Automate. Power Automate, think of it as the skeleton of the Power Platform is the tendons that bring everything together. Power Automate is amazing to do things automatically, and it just happens without you having to think about it. So you want to trigger a text message to your phone when something happens. You want to trigger an email or a notification when something happens. This is all done through Power Automate. It's a good way to say, I fill out this form, I hit enter, it automatically gets sent for approval to someone. So this is a low-code way to do any sort of automation. One of the new things is called robotic process automation. This is for legacy apps that don't have APIs that you can call. So imagine that there's a way that you can record steps to be automated and then play them back whenever something needs to be automated. So a human doesn't need to be involved. So the way to do this is to say, record steps, do the steps, click stop, and then play them back. So whenever that kind of screen comes up, this automation happens automatically. It's just fun to play around with. If you get a chance, try it. Third part is Power Virtual Agents. This is one of the newest parts of the Power Platform and one of my absolute favorites because you get to make a chatbot. Chatbots are very useful, especially for answering customer questions that will come up over and over again. You can now make sure that your customers get the same kind of enthusiastic, correct answer without having to depend on you. So you might be sleeping, you might be busy, you might be doing other things, but your customers still get the answers. So what I really like about Power Virtual Agents is that you can customize them to have your voice. So if you're a very sassy person, change the voice to be like you. One thing that I think is super, super cool to get started with Power Virtual Agents is you can automatically import an FAQ, so a frequently asked questions page, into Power Virtual Agents and generate a bot. I did this for my own fashion line, and it was very easy and very straightforward. You just go to Power Virtual Agents, and then there's a place where you say manage, and then click on a thing, and you pull in the FAQ. Look up the tutorial for this. It's online. It's awesome. It's super cool. I like that you can embed these bots anywhere. So you can keep them on the demo page. You can embed them into your own personal website. You can embed it into a Power Apps portal. And you can track all the analysis of it, so you can see which questions are being asked, which questions are going unanswered, which questions your bot is falling down on, so you can improve these bots over time. I recently made a Power Virtual Agent and embedded it onto the website of my fashion line. You can go see it if you want to. If you're just starting out with PVA and you don't know what virtual agents are, try this tutorial, Do the Thing Bot. It is very, very basic starter, but it will get you going and to the right website, logging in, etc. Okay, so all of this magic happens on top of the Common Data Service, which is a secure, compliant, centralized data store with tons of connectors, so it connects to all sorts of things. CDS is cool once you're ready to scale your creation. And the reason for that is all of the Power Platform can stem from CDS in a way that you can't from Excel or any of these other kind of easier, smaller, flat data stores. So Excel is really great for visualizing flat data. Like I have, one thing in one color and one piece of feedback, that's fine for Excel. But if you have one thing in multiple colors and lots of feedback, then you want a relational data store, and CDS is really good for this. Now, if you also want to use Power Virtual Agent to track your data, and if you want to use Power Apps portals, then you definitely have to use CDS as the backend data store. I highly recommend you look this up when you're ready to scale your solution to the entire world. Now, this is where things get all emerging techie. AI Builder is awesome. If you've ever been curious about what the heck is AI, this is a really good place to start. So just look up AI Builder and you will take you to this page, and you can see all of this new stuff that's new. New stuff is new. All of this stuff that's quite new, some of it's even in preview still. One of the coolest things that I think everyone should give a try is like the business card reader. So imagine being able to scan a business card and pull out all the right data. Also, key phrase detection or language detection or object recognition. This is really good to say cat or not cat, spaghetti or not spaghetti, that kind of thing. Meat pie or not meat pie. That kind of thing would be super cool. It's very, very useful for any sort of repetitive task, because what it can do is identify specific fields, specific images, put them together and say, yep, these are fields. And then using Power Automate, you can automatically generate some sort of an insight and say, these forms are all filled out correctly because they all have some sort of a thing in the field that's supposed to be filled out, some sort of a handwritten note or a signature. Instead of me talking about it, let me show you this thing. I highly recommend you look up this YouTube video by Eliza Benitez, who's one of our judges, where she created this demo that automatically detects fields that are filled out for tax forms. I'm sure all of you have filled out a form that was so annoying. More annoying is collecting forms and making sure they're all filled out correctly. That, I think, would be the most annoying job in the world. And she's created this demo that actually does this. So it scans a bunch of filled out forms, it trains a model, and then it says, okay, feed me a bunch of other ones. Then you can upload all of these filled out forms, and then it will tell you filled out right, filled out not right, all through the power of AI Builder and Power Automate. So you should definitely check out her demo. It is super, super cool. And then last, but probably my favorite, because it's just fun, is mixed reality and power apps. So mixed reality, as some of you might know, is the spectrum between virtual reality and augmented reality. So mixed reality is taking holograms, objects that are made of light and sound, but not matter, and putting them in the real world. This is super, super interesting in a bunch of physical industries like retail and manufacturing. So you can see that that forklift there is not real. They're putting it into this factory to see if it's going to fit. There's a real case study done by one of our community members, Reza Durrani, where he is figuring out, what do we do about these small businesses like furniture shops? People aren't able to come in and look at the chair and imagine if it's going to fit in their house. So Reza has built this mixed reality app where furniture store owners can upload whatever objects they've got, take a good high-res picture, upload to this app, and then users can go and place that object in their house. That to me is a really cool, really useful scenario. So they can say, where would I put it? Would it look good here? So it's amazing for interior design. It's really good for manufacturing, retail, all of these cool, cool industries. This is just getting started. It's in private preview. So if you're not in private preview, it'll be hard to use for this hack, but I highly recommend you go join the private preview because it is a very, very good way to try out something completely new with Power Platform. So I've talked to you for a long time about the why and the how, but the most important part of this whole hackathon and the Power Platform in general is the who. The who is building solutions with Power Plat. These are not just people who are software engineers. I happen to be a software engineer, but most people using Power Platform are not. There are people who used to have or currently have a whole another job. There are people who used to be security guards and bricklayers and drive buses and do all kinds of things. But because they discovered app development or chatbot development or automation development, they've completely changed their lives and the lives of their business and the people around them. And I find that to be so incredibly powerful. There are currently 3.7 million Power Addicts, so people who love the Power Platform in the world. That is a large number of people. And today, by volunteering to participate in this hackathon, you are now one of them. So thank you so much for joining us. And please keep in mind that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has. And all of you who've always wanted to be part of something bigger than you, this is your chance and this is your opportunity. Please take the Power Platform as the sidekick to your superhero. Go forth and make the world a better place. Thank you so much for being here.
Yay! Thank you, Donna. It's always super weird just clapping on my own. Say that. Yeah, thank you so much, Donna. So while Kapil sets up and gets ready to chat, I just want to just say thank you very much for that really insightful talk. I always love the comparison of like the superhero needing to learn before they can really take on the world. And I think that's maybe what some of us are going to be doing today. So don't feel bad if you're just learning. That's cool. That's what hackathons are about. You're here to learn and you're here to try and create new skills as well as give back to the community. So Donna, thank you very much. I want to hand over to Kapil and just want to say thank you very much for volunteering to talk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to give you the stage. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Donna. And thank you, everyone who are part of the organizing team, for giving me this opportunity to speak. But it was such a wonderful presentation, Donna. Thank you for that. And being myself, who is not that accustomed to Power Platform, definitely gives me a kickoff start. And the 5-step process we'll definitely try to include in our thinking process as well. As Chris was talking about, while he was talking about me, that how this IST time zone happened. So I think everyone should know what happened in the back end, or how this entire time zone got added to the global event just 2 days before. So that's what I'm here to talk about. And it's interesting that I saw about this event from Donna's post over LinkedIn. So that's how I came to know about it. And before I begin, I want to know how you all came to know about it, via LinkedIn, or what were the different sources. So if you can just put in the chat window how you came to know about this event, and I'll pause for a moment to see what you're responding. Okay. So looks like most of us got to know about it from LinkedIn only, or Twitter. That's good to know. So this is how it all actually started. So I had a doubt about this event, whether this event will have one kickoff meeting only for the US time zone, or whether it will have 3 different kickoff meetings. And that was not very clear in the event. So I reached out to Chris because his name was mentioned. So I just pinged him, and we started to have this conversation that how India time zone is not actually fitting across 3 time zones. It is way too late for us for the US, and 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning for the APAC. And and we are right in the middle of the UK and the APAC time zone, split between the 10-hour gap. So this was one issue which I was talking to him, and even Chris acknowledged the fact that this is an issue, but even they were also overwhelmed with the response. And previously they didn't had one, so who could have thought that we'll get such a response from this region? And that's where our conversation actually ended. And that was it at that point of time. Few hours later, I got a ping from Chris that we have added IST also as a time zone. And it came as a surprise because it was a huge change. And kudos to the organizing team for making this happen, because I think all of you can understand how much commitment and efforts required to make such a huge change, and that too 2 days before the event. So kudos to that. And I'd like to thank ourselves also, because that's why they were able to make this change, because they saw such an overwhelming response from our end, which was not the case previously. So a good clap for ourselves also to participating. And that is one thing actually which we can do, to participate more and more, and to participate in such events so that we can get represented in such global hackathon events. And this is the perfect example of digital inclusion, which Keith will be talking about later on. And as when we talk about diversity and inclusion and being included, this is the perfect example. So that's what I wanted to share with you, how we spun up this entire time zone 2 days, and here we are having this conversation right now. So thank you all for listening to me, and all the best for the hackathon, because we know how much we can achieve. Many of our great ideas, as Donna was also explaining in the presentation, and even one of many Microsoft product itself were originally hackathon ideas like Kaizala or things like that. So the sky is the horizon, sky is the limit, and it's up to us where we want to reach. And these are the challenging times where we can prove. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, over to you.
Thank you, Kapil. Okay, guys, we're going to do something really random right now. All of you, every single person on this call, right? I want you to go off mute. Every single one of you. Go off mute right now. You
Hello.
If you don't unmute.
Rick is back.
Yeah. Come on, guys, get off mute. Everyone.
Let's make some noise.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, we're going to do something absolutely crazy, right? Jump mute. Okay. So if you can, put your camera on. If you can't, don't put your camera on. Right? We're going to do something crazy. So I want everyone right now to lean back, stand up, and start clapping. 1, 2, 3, go.
Hi, everyone.
Did we break Twitter?
All of you from putting India on the map with TDQ. So well done.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to mute you all. Haha. Cool. All right. So now I'm muting everyone. I'm sorry because some people just make more noise. Eliza. So what we're going to do is we got to bring in Digital Keith. Okay. So if you just give me a second, I'm just going to make sure I'm ready for this. All right. So one moment, please. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that screen there. I've got lots of screens going on here. This is all very fun and interesting. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize that screen there. Okay, you guys are going to have to help me here and confirm that you can hear everything. Okay, we're going to share Digital Keith. Okay, everyone ready for Digital Keith? Right, let's do this thing. Digital Keith, you're up, buddy. Right, I'm going to go and mute.
I believe I'm projecting my screen.
You are indeed, my friend.
Awesome. Right, so like, I believe we're really lucky. Yeah, like I know there's COVID-19 in the world, but a couple of months back we were all together in London, and I just thought how lucky we were to be living now, right? If we were going through this 20 years ago, we would be screwed, more so than we are now. We would be truly screwed. And if we were going through this 40, 50 years ago, we'd be completely screwed, right? We'd be none of us left, right? It'd be like zombie apocalypse. So we're really lucky, right? And we're really lucky for a number of reasons. We're really lucky because we've got a super amount of uber cool technology that Microsoft have thrown our way, and it's never been easier to build. You've heard that from Donna, like, you know, it's never been easier to build. But just because it's easy to build doesn't mean anything, right? Like, doesn't mean anything, because people have been building stuff with software for years, and it's just not kind of filtered down, right? So like the big man, the big boss man, right? He says that there are going to be 500 million apps by 2023, right? Now, I reckon he's a fairly clever guy, and he's probably done his sums. And does that seem like a fair number? Well, like, think about that. So there's 3.7 million Power Apps makers in the world already, and every one of them makes X apps a year. That's probably like likely. That's not, you know, it's not unachievable. But when you think about how bloody difficult it is to make a normal like pro code app, it's not impossible, right? It's a huge amount of work. I tried and I failed. I nearly lost my wife. I nearly lost my kids. I was sat there with my face in a coding book all day long, trying to figure out how to write Python. And I got nowhere. Like, I got nowhere with it, right? And I just think that, like, I'm just so lucky, you know, that this is happening now. And if let's put this in the context, right? So let's go back to the last big time we were truly screwed, right? The Second World War. And I know there's a load of analogies about the Second World War flying around with COVID and all the rest of it, but it's the last time that the planet was truly messed up, right? And like Alan Turing came along, and the side with the computer won, yeah? And he said that we shall need a great number of mathematicians of ability, as there will be probably be a great deal of this kind of work to be done. 3.7 million, that's a fair few. But how many of us here are mathematicians of, you know, ability, right? Like, people who've got to put their hand up and be pretty brave to say, like, you know, I'm a mathematician of Alan Turing ability. Like, Donna used to work on the Windows kernel. She's as clever as they come, but are you Alan Turing clever? Like, are you that good? I mean, this is Alan we're talking about here. This is no mortal human being, and he's saying we need a whole. But look at us now. We're so lucky that we've got this. It's in our wheelhouse. An idiot like me, who didn't even get his high school maths diploma, like, is able to build an app, right? Like, that's nuts. And there's technology like all around us, right? So I'm sitting in here today, right? I've got a webcam, I've got my computers, I've got a dishwasher that's shining a light on the floor telling me how much time it's got left. I've got like hundreds and hundreds of meters of cabling in my house, and I've got a wireless wireless internet all around me and a doorbell that freaking records who's coming to the door. And like, if that doesn't terrify you, like there is an if statement under your brake pedal in your car, right? Like if you've got one of these auto driving cars, there is code in there. You're going to want to make sure that code has done a good job. And like, if you think about how much it takes to learn how to code, how can you be sure that they're doing a great job? Like, how can you be sure that that bit of code is like right? You know, it's a huge stack to learn. Really, we need to compress it and make it simpler. So we've got the gift. We've got the gift. We really have. Like, I can't get over that. If you'd have spoken to me, a few years ago, in fact, like if you rewind this to when I first got my PC back in like the mid-90s, and I went to college and I did a bit of multimedia and stuff. Like, if you'd have said to me, I'm building an app for a mobile phone that looks like something out of Star Trek in a web browser, and bear in mind web browsers back then were like, you know, Netscape, yeah, and like IE whatever it was when it didn't work very well, and Opera, right? You would just laugh. You would say that's completely bonkers. Like, think about yourself then and think about what you've got now. Tell yourself that this is an amazing time to be alive and that we've actually got an opportunity to do something and how lucky we are, you know. It's nearly my birthday, right? And 2 years ago, almost to the day, I was sat in my back garden, and I'd been invited to speak at the first Mbas, right? And I had in my back garden on my 40th birthday, I had a party. You know, you have a big party for your 40th birthday, right? It's a big affair. Lots of chocolate on my cake 'cause I'm fat and I like chocolate. But there was no one there. There wasn't anyone there at all. There was my family, and I invited my neighbours because I didn't want to piss them off. My kids running around in the back garden. But there wasn't anyone at my birthday party because I didn't know anyone outside of work. And I didn't really want to invite anyone from work because I'd just been on the buses for 17 years and I didn't really know any better. And I fell into this community thing and I met a lot of friends and you've all changed my life. And today you're going to make new friends, you're going to make new acquaintances. And yes, it's virtual, but I really hope that the bonding experience you have today will change your life forever. One of the people I met on that journey was a young man called Samit Saini, right? Who I was terrified of meeting. Yeah, I never forget, like literally in a cold sweat, being told that I'm going to meet this guy who's been making apps at Heathrow Airport. Like my apps are not going to be as good as his. Like, and Martin Lee as well. Like, he's built all these apps at Autoglass, and I'm just looking at my apps and I'm going, yeah, these apps are a bit shit. And I was just terrified, right? Absolutely terrified. And I felt like an imposter the whole time. Samit was like at Mbas, and Shane Young's in the room. Like, I had never even heard of Shane Young at the time. Samit said, that dude there, that's Shane Young. He's an MVP. I was like, what's an MVP? And he's like, look, I'll come and show you. And that was the start. That was the start of everything, right? Samit goes on and he does some incredible things, right? He doesn't do what everyone else does and go and gets a better job. Like, Samit went out and he found more people that looked like him, right? That were like him and who were game changers, right? So where are we in this? Where do we put ourselves? So I got a traditional Office 365 adoption curve here, right? And we are that little bunch on the very far left-hand side. We're the tech enthusiasts and a little bit the visionaries. That's us lot, right? And there's everyone else, right? And you can't convince, you know, you got to sort of like, us lot, we're going to do it anyway. And then there's this big hump in the middle that's everyone else, right? And that's our job to climb that hill. But it's the skeptics. And Samit's first thing he did, he didn't take it the easy way out. He went and chose to speak to a skeptic. He went and taught a guy in his 60s who said, you will never teach me technology to make technology. And he built an app. He built a bus inspection app for Heathrow Airport. Like, he changed the trajectory of that guy's future. He also changed the trajectory of the people who were on the receiving end of that app, right? So Samit went out and he said, look, there's more me's here. I can change more people's lives, right? I can make more people app makers. He could have been sitting there going, being the webmaster bottleneck, being you must all come through me. I am all powerful Samit Saini. No, not Samit, right? Samit goes out and he finds Naz, right? Naz is like, Naz tells me she goes home, right? She with her app, she shows it to her husband, and her husband says, you never built that. Like, obviously he didn't, he slept on the park bench that night. Like, there was no quarter that you can hold when you've made a comment like that with your missus, right? But like, Naz is making apps. Naz can't believe she's making apps, right? And then there's Courtney, right? Courtney he's an artist. If you've seen Courtney's artwork, it's astounding. But Courtney's making apps. Said to Courtney, what's your technical experience to make apps this good? He went, oh man, I do a bit of Photoshop because I draw manga cartoons and stuff. Like, completely out of the blue, like Courtney's doing it. I've got this beautiful photo of Sancho Harker, right? One of the most talented people I've ever met in my entire life, right? Showing his apps to Courtney and Naz. Sancho is amazed that people are listening to him. Courtney is just blown away by what Sancho is telling him. Naz is just standing there, just like taking it all in. I mean, it's just glorious, like watching the electricity, because what I saw in that little kind of microcosm wasn't a bunch of people going, look at how cool my tech is. It was a microcosm of people saying, look at this tech, look how it can change the world, and look how it can change my life and the people's lives around me, right? I can bring this difference to other people, and it's incredible. Like, it shouldn't be like this, but it is. So I'm going to introduce you to someone. I'm going to call him Terry to protect his identity, right? This is Terry. Say hello to Terry. Might tell. Terry cleans a bus. He doesn't clean the inside of the bus. He does the chassis clean, right? Which means he puts a hazmat suit on, pre-COVID. He gets under the bus and he hoses it down. And that bus gets hosed down every sort of couple of months or so. It's about 1,500 buses, and there's 2 washes that do this sort of thing. So it happens on a rotation, you can imagine. And the shit of London town falls on Terry's head, right? You name it, it gets sucked up into the bus. Condoms, fingers, like bits of God knows what, vomit. The detritus of the world is falling on Terry's head. It's a shit job. There is no one queuing up at the gates of a bus company to do that job, right? This job does matter. Terry's job's really important, because if he doesn't clean the underside of the bus, the engineers can't inspect it properly, and therefore, like, the bus isn't safe. Yeah. So it's really important that they can see all of the bits underneath it, because they've got to inspect them all the time. So how do we change Terry's life, right? You give him an app. Because at that moment in time, Terry's filling out a sheet of paper. He's got a clipboard. He's had the same clipboard forever. It gets wet all the time because he's covered in water and detritus and awfulness. And you've got to think to yourself, look, if you can put a low-cost app in someone's hand, you give them the belief that they are important enough to have an app, because apps cost money, right? Everyone knows apps cost money. They're not cheap things to build, right? Terry has that belief that the company cares. You put a health and safety app in the hands of your workers, all of a sudden you're taking health and safety seriously as a business. I don't see any reason why the CEO's app can't be every good as bit as Terry's. It should be all one, because there's that bit. So for those of you who do yellow Excel, sorry, Power BI, there's always this data analysis piece. Like, there's this thing, and there's these numbers that you're looking for, and these big numbers and stuff, and there's like some analysis going on, and there's a bit where they go, all right, well, yeah, I'm not sure where we are, how we answer that bit. Like, there's a we'll make something up. We'll assume. Right, we'll assume that piece of data. Well, right, Power Platform's right here. You can fill that data hole. It's no longer a ghost. You know, I stand 2 years on, right, profoundly lucky and blessed that that I am where I am today, and I have the friends that I have today, and I have the community that I have today, and I have this technology because I'm able to do something that I hoped I would never have to do, right? Which is go to war. I don't know this war analogy and stuff, and we talk about our, grandparents and the rest of it, but my granddad, I got a picture of him on my desk. He never leaves my desk, right? My granddad, because he's part of my life, and this has helped me bring me much closer to him, because I look at it like this. My granddad would sit there and he would tell me, get up and fight, right? The man was a prisoner of war after 2 invasions, and when he escaped and fought his way out of the prisoner of war camp, he went back for the 3rd invasion. He got up and he went again, and he didn't stop going until we won, right? He would say, don't judge your future by my past. What difference are you making? That's what he used to say. What difference are you making? And I think that we can, as a community, adopt a charity, a business, an organization to help through this, right? Call it pro bono work, yeah? We have got these superpowers, these incredible tech superpowers. We've also got the know-how because we're BizApps people, right? We understand how business works. So we can help rebuild, we can help tackle it, we can help with phase 1 of the virus, phase 2 of the virus, and phase 3, 4, and 5 of the virus until we're all the way past it and we're all in the pub having a bloody good piss up with plenty of beer, plenty of food, and watching Will and Chris, going nuts like they usually do and fighting people in the streets, right? That's what we're trying to get back to. Maybe not that, but like maybe something close to that. So we're going to do that together, right? Like, and don't stop. So like adopt a person. Before, when I was in London, I said, look, adopt a person and teach them Power Apps, yeah? I don't think we have that luxury. We can teach someone, yeah, but I think we've got to build and build and build and build. I have not stopped building. Like you asked the guys, I've been up to 11, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, two lots of 2 o'clock in the morning this week, 1 lot of 1 o'clock, 1 lot of 11 o'clock, and last week was broadly the same. I've been building apps for the NHS. I'm giving them away, right? I'm giving them away because at the end of the day, right, we live and die on that thing. And if I can save one life, just one, if I can make one tiny little bit of a difference, we've won. We have won, right? And that's what today's about. So, go and do. It's incredible. That's what digital inclusion is about, right? It's not about the cool technology. It's not about who's better, a pro coder, a low coder, a no coder. It doesn't matter, right? What matters is Terry, yeah? Build an app for Terry. We change the world. These are Power Addicts. You're all one now. Don't forget to, watch our show and tag yourself as a Power Addict. And that means that people can come to you for an app, right? They can come to you for help. They can reach out to you and you can put them in contact with someone if you haven't got the bandwidth to do it. You can answer a question. You can do any tiny thing. But that Power Addict badge is what gives you the sort of the light over your head to say, look, if you need something, come and help. If you need some help, come ask me. I'll facilitate it. Thank you very much.
Wow. Yay. Yeah, that was me yelling. Sorry, I like double yelled. Holy smokes. Yeah. It's that my friends is a is a digital inclusion talk right there. Okay, I'm just busy like stopping presenting and everything. Okay, so wow. If you aren't inspired after that, you guys need to go get some coffee and come back. I'm kidding. It's bonkers, isn't it? I mean, he's, let me tell you something interesting. I remember meeting Keith at Future Decoded a couple of years ago, and we didn't know each other. We just kind of figured out who the other one was randomly. And like, I instantly had this respect, this massive amount of respect for this guy, because a lot of people will laugh at me when I say this, but this guy is wise. He is very wise. He has real world experience. And when I say real world, Keith has driven buses. And now he is a digital transformation lead at another company doing some amazing things and building free applications for people in the community because you know what? He wants to help. So if you find him, and if you can, we will leave his Twitter handle in here. I think Benitez left it in there earlier, but follow him. He's incredible. So with that being said, we've got all the really like heartfelt stuff. It wouldn't be a hack for good without some heartfelt stuff. Now we're gonna get to the bosses of what's going on today, right? And this is really important because it's gonna teach you guys how to hack, what to do for the rest of the day. So with that being said, I'd like to hand over to Lisa, Lainey, and Nijo. So over to you guys.
Thank you. Can you see my screen and hear me?
Yep, absolutely.
It's always a big ask to go to go after Keith. I have to say that's the second time I've heard that. I feel even more moved the second time. Thank you all so much for being part of this. We are absolutely delighted to have so many people joining. This is our, that we had so many in Apac that we ended up adding this second time zone. So thank you all of you for being here. Huge shout out. We gave everyone a round of applause before. I just want to acknowledge it's like 5:30 in the morning for Chris now. He's been up, I think, probably all night and isn't sleeping, and he's done an amazing job kind of inspiring us and bringing us all together here. So huge thank you on behalf of us all to you, Chris. It's amazing. So my name's Lisa Crosby. I am one of the time zone leads here. I'm in Melbourne, Australia. Lainey and Nijo, do you want to just say hi and introduce yourselves?
Hi guys, this is Nijo from India, and I am from Kerala. Probably some of you might be know me. Okay, yeah, that's it. Lenny.
Hi, Elaine here. They call me Lainey. Most people call me that. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. Welcome to the hackathon.
Excellent. So most of you will have received emails from myself and Elaine in the last 24, 48 hours. It's been quite an extraordinarily quick turnaround in getting all this up and running. I've posted a couple of messages in the chat there just to let you know if you haven't got your team sorted out, if you've just joined, and haven't got a team, if you were in a team and you haven't heard back from anyone, please stay on the call at the end. We will connect you. It's all fine. We did as much as we could beforehand, but things do change the day of. That's totally normal. So just stay on the line afterwards and we'll make sure to help you out. Once we get through this, Nijo will be probably one of your main points of communication. We've got, a local person on the ground there that knows your community and your circumstances and so on well. So we're all here to help you get up and running. So, we're here to build solutions around COVID-19, which is affecting us all in different ways. Nijo, do you want to just sort of talk a little bit about the local context there? Because I don't want to speak for that.
Sure. Yeah. Hi guys. Probably we have guys from India and Pakistan. Guys from India, you might be aware, like my state, I'm in a region called Kerala. So we were affected with flood for the last 2 years. Every year we are facing a severe flood. People are staying in home and all these things. And those days, the newspaper main headings were like, normal people converted their mobile phones and laptops into control rooms to help government and NGO authorities to track the situation of flood and all. And that's how normal people realize how important IT and software, mobile applications or other software related softwares, how it can help people to tackle or help in these kind of situations. So we are now the entire region, the entire globe is into something similar situation. So this event, I already know you guys are charged up to develop something or join us with on this war against COVID-19. So you can build up something like, we in India, we have seen some issues like migrant laborers moving from one state to another state, and there is no proper mechanism to handle this, track them, how they are moving, or are they if they're getting enough food or other resources. So you can build up something to help that, or yesterday the lockdown in India has been extended till May 17th. So if you can build up something using AI Builder to track the social distancing, or people are following it properly, or even there are a lot of OpenDB available. You can build up something to show the new hotspots. The central government, India government, is releasing new hotspot, updating the hotspot list and categorizing district into red zone, green zone, orange zone. So these things can be tracked, or even help the NGOs. There are a lot of NGOs providing food and other essential stuffs to people in the remote area, because since it's lockdown, some regions are severely affected. They are not getting enough stuffs to survive. wave. So you can build up something, help them. Like Donna in her presentation showed you how you can help how they help the homeless people. So something can be built up. So India and even Pakistan might be similar condition. There are a lot to build in, and we can contribute a lot to join in this war to fight against COVID-19. So these are just some basic ideas. Guys, you can build up, or you can bring up with any idea or something in your very local context. You can build up something, and which can be reused or released to the community, so that we can easily conquer this war. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Nijo. So yeah, as you said, the challenge here is for you to build whatever you think is going to solve a problem. We've had some great advice from Donna around how to do that, and thank you, Nijo, for some more inspiration from the ground there. Elaine is going to take you through your mission for today.
Hey guys, firstly I want to say you guys should give yourself a pat on the back. It's really nice to see such an overwhelming response from the region, India and Pakistan. Like what Chris had mentioned, the last hackathon we really struggled to get participations, and I think Nijo have worked very hard to get 4 teams in. And as a result, after that, we actually got lots of emails saying you guys are interested. And today to see 12 teams, over 72 participations, lots of students, Pakistan and India, you guys deserve a big clap from us. So thanks a lot. So now I'm just going to continue to talk about your mission today. So what I'm just going to briefly tell you is how you want to plan, execute, and complete your hackathon. So let's start with planning. So first of all, if you guys have checked out all the emails that we sent across, or even the Mbas website, you need to set up your trial environment and your teams to collaborate. So if you have not set up your trial environment or do not know how to do it, you can check out the video that Chris have created in YouTube. The link is available on Mbas. I'll put the link down in the chat later again. And if you still have problems setting it up, don't worry, you can reach out to either me, Lisa, or Nijo, or send an email to the Apac email, and then we can help you out. Next is collaboration. So collaboration is really important. As we know now, we're all working virtually. So remember to communicate, talk to each other, plan out what you want to do, put down all the tasks that you want to do and how you want to do it. Use cases like what Donna has mentioned, just try and solve one problem. Don't solve a multi-million issues in the world. There's lots of problems in the world that we want to solve. I know all of us would like to solve everything that is happening in this world, but for now, just find one problem that you think you want to solve and then come up with a simple solution. Don't overcomplicate it and build an app to solve it. Next, let's talk about execution. So it's very important that you work with your team, plan with your team what you want to do. I know some of you might have dropped us an email saying that your teammates have not responded or they have not attended today. Don't worry about that. Just reach out to me and Lisa. We'll help to put you guys in a team. And if you have any issues along the way as well, just drop any of us a message and we're available for 24 hours. So you have 24 hours to hack from now to tomorrow. I'm not sure, is it 11 o'clock, I think, of India and Pakistan time. So just use the time wisely. I might get the time wrong, but Lisa can correct me later.
No, that's right. You've got 24 hours till 11 a.m. your local time. Yep. 11 a.m. Sunday IST. That's right.
IST, right? Yeah.
Yep. The times are the same. We just say the different time zone. It's always 11 a.m. Sunday IST for this group.
And actually, since the lockdown, I don't have a time concept in my life anymore. It's just like eat o'clock, hack o'clock, sleep o'clock kind of thing. So so use your time valuably. So I know everyone is busy with your life, especially with this COVID time. You need to spend time with your family, etc. We don't expect you to hack 24 hours. Of course, you want to do 24 hours, salute to you. There's no stopping you, but just make sure that you allocate the time to get together at the end of it, and then put the pieces of your solution together and create your presentation. So the presentation is very important because that is where we able to see what you have built. So when you put in your presentation, make sure that it's 5 minutes, strictly 5 minutes, nothing more. Talk about how the app you have built, explain through the app, talk about how it meets the solution, how it have the solution of the use case that you have, and of course, keep it simple. This is an MVP product. We don't expect an overcomplicated solution from you guys. You don't need to put in like 5 or 10 tools. We don't expect you to use every everything like Power Automate, Power Platform, and all the whole business stack. Just choose 1 or 2 tools that you can use, and then as long as it meets the purpose, then it's all right. That's fine. That's the last one is about completion. Yeah, so at the end of the hack, so make sure that you upload your solution. So I know the slide here says you upload to TGT platform, but Lisa and I and Nigel will send out email to you guys. I'm not sure if you already sent out, you might have, to give you guys instruction on how to upload. So it's really simple. We have OneDrive folder created. You just need to put in your solution into the OneDrive folder with the name, your team name, fill up a form to say that you have done all the steps required, create a YouTube video and upload it to YouTube, strictly 5 minutes. And again, I like to emphasize, right, talk about your solution. Don't just have slides explaining what you have done, but show us the app as well. Okay. Judging criteria, Lisa Crosby will actually cover that after this. So I'm just going to skip that. And lastly, do go crazy in social media. Use the hashtag HACK4GOOD Mbas. Just tweet, take loads of photos, send it across to us. Donna will feature it during Mbas, and then put them on Twitter, LinkedIn, or whatever social media that is popular in your region. Put in the hashtag, create as much exposure to your team as possible, and let everyone know that you're contributing. So that's all from me. Thank you. I'll pass it back to Lisa.
Thanks, Lainey. So yeah, please, we love the sharing on social media. Part of the thing about feeling part of something bigger, and especially when we're all working, in our individual spots all around the world and whatever, that feeling of being in it together and sharing it with the world and getting the word out there is really exciting. So like, take photos of your team at work. We'll put our Twitter handles in the chat here as well. If you don't have them, please mention us, and we will help amplify the message and so on. So yeah, lots of awesome stuff out there on social media, and follow that hashtag and pick up on what other people are doing as well. All right, so the event details here, just to recap, Chris had this at the start. So where we're up to now is we're going to give you 24 hours from, in theory, we're meant to finish this presentation at 11 a.m. I reckon we're on track to finish a good half hour or so early there, which is good. So you will have until 11 a.m. IST to submit your solutions. And as Lainey said, we're actually changing the submission process slightly to make it easier. It'll just be upload to a OneDrive folder. So once we've got all of your team leads, we'll send the information out on how to do that to keep it simple. Please remember that this is designed to be something where you are hacking at the time that suits you and how it suits you over a 24-hour period. That some of you might want to work a 24-hour period. Some of you, might do a few hours on and off. You might not even be working all at the same time, but please work out how to work as a team. Even if you're not all working at the same time, you'll all have different things going on in your lives. And the idea of a 24-hour period is that it allows you to get a decent amount of hacking done around other things that are going on in your lives. Please also remember, especially for those of you, and we've got quite a lot of teams in this category from India, where you've come as a team, where you already work together, which is awesome. This is not about showcasing something that you spent weeks building. It's not about bringing in stuff that you've built before if you've worked it as a team. This is about what can you hack in a 24-hour period together. Of course, you bring your knowledge, but please don't submit things that you've pre-built before the hack day. It will be obvious to the judges if you're bringing in stuff that you've already built, and it will count against you. So we really want to see things that can be developed in this time frame, not things that you've prepared prior. So you shouldn't be submitting anything that you haven't built from now onwards. So before I talk to the judging criteria, I'm just going to introduce Eliza and Mark if they're on the call, and throw to them if they would like to talk through how they're going to be working as judges.
Awesome, thanks. My name is Mark Smith, otherwise known as NZ365 Guy, and I'm here in New Zealand. One of the key things, like I've judged these events before, that I find like something you need to be aware of, and that is leaving it to the last minute to do your video. Make sure you have someone test your audio and your video footage and how you're going to present at about the 50% mark. So halfway through, you should be considering who's going to be responsible for doing the video, getting the audio, and that you get to listen to it. The teams that always left it to the last like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to quickly pull together their video often produce something that was either way more than the 5 minutes, or just, you know, the audio didn't work. And so therefore I'm just seeing mouths moving on screen and reading presentations, and the audio is not there. So think about the 50% mark. Who's going to be responsible for doing your video? How are you going to pull it together? What software are you going to use to do that? Don't leave it to the last hour or 2 hours, because all of a sudden become a daunting process for you, and get out of control. So that's just my one tidbit of advice in preparing for your video presentation for the judging. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Eliza, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Liza. I'm based out in New Zealand as well. I'm known as Benitez here on Twitter, and for my YouTube series on Power Automate called What the Flow, WTF. One tip that I do have is when you're doing your recordings, don't really show much of your face. We want to see the solution. We want to see how it works. So if you're going to give a speech for over 1 minute, that's taking up the 4 minutes. Well, sorry, you've got a remaining of 4 minutes to show your solution. And I think if you have an epic solution and you want to make the most of that 5 minutes, show us the solution and we can just listen to your voiceover. So that's my tip.
Thanks, Eliza. And I think the important thing there, which Eliza had mentioned on the earlier call too, is that we're not judging you, or not me, but they're not judging you on the quality of your video production. So, as Mark's saying, you need to hear the voices and so on, but don't, it's not about spending a lot of time making a fancy video. If you showcase your solution and the business problem that it solves solidly well, the criteria are not about how good is your video production, as long as it's clear. Is that a fair way of putting it? We're not after sort of going, oh gee, you're very good at using Camtasia to edit. That's not necessarily not really the point. Yep, awesome. Thank you, Mark and Eliza. So here are the judging criteria. So this deck that we've been presenting from today is available. We've sent it out to all the teams who we've been communicating with beforehand. If you are joining and forming a new team straight after this, we'll make sure that you get all that information. And there's a link. We've got an event hub where you can access all this information as well. So judging criteria. What is your problem that you've chosen and how well have you solved it? So think about all that advice we've had from Donna and Keith along the way here in talking about choosing to solve a problem. And one of the things is that spend some time in planning what you're going to do, defining that problem, planning what you're going to do, and then keep it simple. The most successful hack teams, the ones that win, are the ones that define a solution, plan how they're going to work together, and keep it simple. You will get a lot less done than you think. It's very tempting to kind of say, we're going to build this and this and this and this and this. Just simplify it down and do one thing really, really solidly well and showcase that, and you'll be on the right path. And then in terms of your presentation, and as you're presenting your solution, showcase the solution, but make sure you tie it back to how that solution is solving that problem, and what that problem was that you chose to solve. We also want to make sure that the tech is aligned with the problem. So it's great to use different parts of the Microsoft stack. Like, one of the absolute strengths of this platform is how these pieces just work seamlessly together. You can go beyond Power Platform and bring in, Azure resources, use Teams, like use all of these things. That's fantastic, and showcase that. But make sure it's aligned. We're not after just, oh, look at this cool thing, if it's not actually solving the problem. So find that balance between, building on the strength of the pieces working together, but don't just kind of throw in something that's a cool piece of tech that isn't actually solving the problem. Oops, I thought I went ahead there and then I went back. Teamwork. This is really, really important and really quite tricky, or perhaps not, in a virtual world, right? We've all been in lockdown for a few weeks at least now. We are starting to learn how to do teamwork virtually. We are not looking for Superman. We're not looking for one person to go off and spend 24 hours hacking on their own and going, this is my team submission. As a team, you need to build a brand and a story together. We are looking for evidence of teamwork. And when you're doing that presentation, that we can see that it has been a team effort. We're not rewarding an individual superstar here. This is a team game, and part of the thing here is bringing together the different skills and strengths in your teams. We've got everyone involved here, from students through to senior people, devs, functional consultants. We've got the full range of people. So this is a real chance to draw on different experiences and different points of view. Even if you are less experienced, we saw Donna's story there about the students building the trainees building a solution there. So please make sure that you draw on all of the experience that's in your team and all of the different points of views that are in your team. Divide up the work. You may not all be working at the same time, so make sure you've done that planning. People have things to work on, and then everyone is contributing in a way that helps your team produce an amazing solution. And then we're also, looking for creativity and innovation, do something different. This is a real chance to play with this stuff and to do something exciting and innovative. And let's see what you can come up with out of this. Have you thought about a little bit out of the box about how you could use these technologies in a different way and be creative and smart in the way you use them? Again, aligning to solving your problem, though, not just kind of tech for the sake of tech. So those are things also that the judges are going to be looking for. So the consolidation of those four things are what's going to win. As I said, the advice here: plan, keep it simple, only include what you're building today, and make sure that you've allowed that time for your presentation as well. When we say the video is 5 minutes, that means the judges stop watching at the 5-minute mark. So if you submit a 7-minute video and all your good stuff is in the last 2 minutes, it's not going to be good. So please stick to that 5 minutes. It's a really short amount of time. I've done a few videos on YouTube where I try to explain things in 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not long. You need to be concise. You need to have a good punchy story to tell, but the judges will stop watching after 5 minutes. So 5 minutes is a hard limit on your video there. All right. Anyone want to add anything else about the judging criteria that I've missed before we talk about the announcement?
Nope, not me.
All good?
Yarp.
Okay. So this is exciting, and Donna might want to chip in here. If you win this thing, you're going to be kind of a big deal, right? This event is actually part of the Microsoft Business Application Summit. And even though we're doing it virtually and we've got so many more people in, we are going to have the winner announced as part of the Business Application Summit. There are senior people at Microsoft who will be sharing this stuff on social media. It will be part of the event. It will be announced as part of the event. So there's a chance here to get, very kind of high-profile eyes on your submission and to have that out there. And I guess the other thing I will say is that as much as it is awesome to win, sometimes there is always still other awesomeness to be gained from this event, right? You're giving up your Saturday, you're working together, maybe you're working with new people, maybe you will learn something different. I led a team at the HACK4GOOD in Atlanta last year. My team didn't win. My team didn't even get close to winning, frankly. It was, we did some great work on the day, but we weren't going to win. However, the people in my team, as a result of what we did on the day, went forward and actually built the solution, and it is actually being used now for a charity, and Chris can talk to this. It's actually being used in real life. And so frankly, I just kind of stand very proud of my team of what they did that day. There are many ways to do well out of this. So, go for your life in trying to win. Even if you don't, keep working on those solutions and keep putting things out into the world, because it all contributes to the movement and what we're doing here.
So I'll interrupt quickly just to tell you about the post-judging activities. So the judges from each of the regions will choose finalists, and then a bunch of the finalists from each of the regions will go to a central person. And that's one of our execs, Ryan Cunningham, who's the PM director for Power Apps. And he has very kindly volunteered to look at all the finalist submissions and then choose a winner. Now, once he chooses a winner, he's going to make like a congratulations video. I'm hosting Mbas, the Business Apps Conference, on Wednesday. And during Mbas, we're going to play the congratulations video from Ryan. We're going to show off her project. And we're going to have a social media board that's going to have all of the congratulations from the execs coming in for you, the winner. And the execs are insanely excited to see who the winner of this is, and they're excited to get to know you and understand the project you've built, and it's how it's being used. So you will be talked about on every stage for like a year. I'm putting you in all my slides. They're going to put you. You can see that I put random people in my slides. They don't even know they're in my slides until they watch a thing. They're like, hey, that's me. So you're going to end up in slides. It's going to happen. So if you don't like fame and fortune, you need to say that right now, because people are going to know who you are. And you will get very interesting opportunities. So be ready for that. But also, become friends with your team. These are people you're probably going to build like lifelong relationships with through any act of like great suffering, like staying awake for 24 hours. You build these intense relationships. And some of the people I've been in hackathon groups with, we're friends to this day, and it's been like 12 years. So have fun, enjoy yourselves, be ready for fame and fortune. The finalists too, like be ready for this.
Thanks, Donna. And thanks so much for, making all of that possible. That's super exciting. So contact info for the APAC region. We have an email address set up there, apac@hack4good.co, which will come through to me, Elaine, and Nijo. But really what we'd like you to do is remember this URL here, aka.ms/hack4good Mbas. That is an awesome hub of information where you can get information about, if you're stuck with how to set up your trial and how to, do all of those things, that's there. One thing to say here is that we are here to help you get started and to get working as a team. We're not here to do tech support. And we're not here to kind of teach you how to build formulas in Power Apps, those kinds of things. It's a chance for you to learn that, to find that out along the way. So once we've got you in your teams, beware, Donna and Chris, or some of us might pop in and say hi and see how you're going along the way. But really, it's up to you to build those solutions. But that website there has a wealth of resources and things. So that's your first point of call to answer your questions and to request help and so on. If you're really stuck beyond that, then send us an email. But we're not kind of like 24 hours help desk on tech support. So there's plenty of resources there. So there you go. Thank you for joining. We hope you accept your mission and you're excited about it. I will throw back to Chris now, but please stay on the line. If you don't have a team, if you're not sure who your team is, if your other teammates haven't got back to each other or whatever, we'll get all that sorted out now, and then you'll be connected and up and running and good to go. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Lainey. Thank you, Nijo. Thank you, everyone. Awesome. Great information. Okay, so as the boss ladies and Nijo have just said, the whole goal here is that if you have a team, you're free to disperse. Go forth and build apps and build solutions. I just want to make something very clear. The use cases that we spoke about, just remember, if we gave you use cases, you would all build the same thing. We're not giving you use cases. Use your imaginations. Tip the box of Lego out in front of you and come up with something cool, right? There's lots of stuff out there to go and reference, especially within places like there's the crisis management URL that you can go and access and go and have a look at some of the apps that have been built in there, but use your imagination. So as of right now, it's hack time, okay? Those of you that have got teams, as Lisa mentioned, go out if you need help creating a Teams invite, go to the website. There's something that tells you how to create a Teams invite. If you need help creating a trial, go to the website. There's a video that tells you how to create a trial that can be extended for as long as you want. If you need to know how to add your users to the trial, go to the website. There's a video. Okay, so most things are there. We are going to stick around on the call, right? If you do not have a team, please stay on the call. Okay, if you do have a team, go forth and build solutions. And good luck. And we're looking forward to seeing you during the day. And this is normally where I play a song, but I don't have
Should we sing? Should we clap? Should we do? So yeah, off you go. Everyone who's sorted, please go now so we can see who's left and help those people get connected. And have fun, happy hacking. We'll be in touch. If you haven't let us know who your team lead is or your team's meeting, please email that through to us. We've emailed you about that.
I could do with a cup of tea.
Oh, it's daylight there now, Chris. The sun's come up.
See, don't even remind me. I thought I was living in this blissful world with like this weird hue of evening.
Yeah, the lights were on when we first started and now the lights are up.
Hi, I'm Joe Unwin, also known as FlowJo Online. I am the leader of the Dream Team here at the TDGI Global Hack. We are actually creating today an application that's looking at the kind of essence of our students. We're looking at their emotional state in the school. So what we're going to do is create an application with an image that's going to show some kind of character portraying a emotion, and then we're going to be able to allow them to select a visual representation that will say and also spell out to them exactly what the person's actually doing. They'll click on it and they'll get a true or false response to that. They'll process through it, and then once that's finished, they'll go on to a Power BI, they'll go on to CDS, and then there'll be a Power BI report that will be actually put up to the teachers, and they can see if any of the students are actually struggling with their emotional states.
Hi, my name is Mbas. I work for Heathrow Airport, and this is my first time I'm participating at a hackathon, a global hackathon, and it's been awesome. Honestly, it's been totally amazing being part of the Dream Team. We've got FlowJo here, who's our team leader, who's guiding us in the right direction. And it's been honestly amazing. I'm learning so much from other people and their skill sets, and it's great to have everyone in one place and bring all their skills and all that knowledge into one place and working together for one goal is how we can give an application to a school or an education sector. And it's great when you have great minds think alike, and I'm enjoying it 1 minute. But it's also great to see other teams, communicating, talking with us. And we've got pizza and we've got beer, and what else can you ask for?
We've got an MVP as well.
Congratulations! Thank you. But honestly, this is what it's all about. It's bringing communities together, not just locally but globally. So it's been an amazing opportunity. Thanks TDGG and the sponsors.
Hi, we are Team Pied Piper, and we've been building a solution for reading records. Rory can tell us a bit more about that. What's the solution for?
So there's a number of elements to the solution. I'm building the app part of it, which allows a child to record the fact they've actually read that day. The parent will have to approve it, and then the aim is that we're going to have a Power BI report that we will be able to be visualized by the teacher, so they can work out which children are reading and which children aren't reading. As well as that, we've got a library facility as well, which is linked but not part of the completely same experience. We've got a portal on the go as well, so it's going to take a bit of wiring up, so we're going to be quite busy over the next couple of hours.
Next hour and a half, actually. Yeah, so plenty of pressure. But the idea is that the teachers will be alerted to children that are not reading as much because they probably need some extra attention, and the parents have the opportunity to get involved with their child's reading progress, and the kids have an element of gamification to it. so they can earn extra house points on stuff that they find enjoyable. I think that's probably right.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Trisha Sinclair, a solutions consultant from Ebex.
And I'm Doric Sinclair. I'm a head of faculty in a school in Greenwich.
Okay, so today what we're building is an application that's the easy transition of students going from key stage, is it 3?
3 to key stage 4. These are primary school children going into secondary school. We want to make the transition much easier for them to find exactly where their classes are, because as you know, from key stage 3, they'll be in different classes all over the school. We also want them to be able to identify their subject teachers, we want them to know what their grades are, and this is all going to be in one central location. It'll be easy to use, friendly, and something that they will be used to on a mobile phone.
Hey, it's Carl from TDG here, and we're at the Global Hack. And with me, I've got Colin from Quantic. And Colin, do you want to just tell us a little bit about what it means for you to be part of this community and event like this hackathon?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose it comes from two ways, personally and for the company. I mean, the solutions that we obviously implement have changed more in the last 2 years than the last 20 years. And it used to be that you could be an expert on the solution just through years of experience. That's no longer possible. The solution is far too big, and I think we need the community, the TD community have done a great job in making sure that you've got lots of experts all over the world doing little videos or long deep dive videos, so that people like me and the resources within our company, they can watch these things and get a level of knowledge that really they need to do their job or know whether they should go deeper into something. And you can become qualified enough to do your job in a really short period of time. And we never used to have that before the community. It would be people trying harder and harder and harder, longer and longer to do these things, but they weren't going to get anywhere. Now you can do it quite quickly, so it's invaluable. And I find it useful individually to learn enough. I don't go into the deep level that some of the staff do, but I at least know enough to be able to talk with some level of a degree of experience with them from watching some of these videos. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I think, there's an unbelievable amount of skill available and on display today here, generating solutions for a worthy cause. I mean, just in the UK, we've got 11 teams, a number of MVPs, power addicts, superstars in the community, and freely sharing their time. I mean, you can hear the music in the background, and it's a really good vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we do it for a number of reasons. A, to give something back to the community. We take from it, all these videos. And I think a lot of the resellers that look after most of the staff in the community, the more they can put into it means we can run more of these events, they can be funded, and make them better each time as we go on. Like I say, we've got a couple of teams out the 11 here. It's good for our staff. They can see we're investing not only in them, but in the community. And it's not just getting them out billing, which is really important, but we're investing in them as well.
And I think finally, it's a global event, and this is happening all around the world, and it really is a call to action that, if you want to get involved, this is happening in your region, so go and do it.
So Wendy and I are on the Dream Team, and we are building an app that analyses the emotional intelligence of students within the primary and secondary school. It takes their assessment of what happiness, sadness, anger, disgust looks like and compares it to what they actually think that emotion is. Wendy, what does the hack mean to you?
Well, I guess for me, it's the first time to actually have the experience of seeing people from so many different disciplines working together, and I'm really enjoying that. But also seeing it move from an idea through the planning stages, and then actually to see people actually building the thing in real time. It's just amazing.
It's awesome, eh?
Yeah.
And did you know anyone before you came, or?
I knew you.
And anyone else?
A few people, but not very well. I'm beginning to know them better now, thanks.
So it's been a great way to meet people, learn new skills.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Go London!
Hello everyone, we we are the amazing power armadillos. Armadillos? How do you say that anyway?
Armadillos. I don't know what word you just said.
Yeah, armadillos, exactly. And we're building an epic app in order to deal with the points when a teacher needs to award some points in school to the houses. So, Scott, can you tell us what technology we're using?
Yeah, so we're using the Cognitive Services Vision API, and we're trying to use recognition of the faces of the kids so that we can automatically assign points to the correct houses. What I like about this kind of environment is there's an opportunity for everyone to kind of work together, different types of people. So I'm kind of trying to do the pro dev thing, and we've got the functional dev going, and kind of more of the citizen dev side of things as well. So I love the fact that we can all kind of work together in this environment. It's a bit more relaxed, where there's less stuff going on with pressures of day-to-day business.
Exactly. And we have beer and pizza, beer.
Yeah,
and we're doing some
sugar,
we're doing some videos as well. So we're just having a lot of fun. This is really, really cool.
It's awesome.
Thanks for inviting us.